What's going on, everybody? So, it's been a few months since I last posted an Oscar predictions video, and since then, plenty has changed in this race. We've gotten some frontrunners that have come out. We have gone through the majority of the fall festivals. At the time of recording this, we even had a secret screening of Marty Supreme at the New York Film Festival last night. So, I figured I should probably update those predictions right about now and share with all of you where I think the race stands at the moment. So let's get right into those predictions. Starting off at number one, I don't even have to spend any time on this. It's one battle after another. It has absolutely everything going for it. It's the most critically acclaimed film of the year. It's a massive crowd pleaser. The nomination potential across the board, the win potential in so many major categories is right there. It is politically timely for where we are in America in 2025. And on top of all that, Paul Thomas Anderson is the most overdue American filmmaker working today for an Oscar. Even if he wasn't overdue for an Oscar, this film would still sweep the awards. The fact that he's overdue just adds a nice little cherry on top. I'd be shocked if this film lost Best Picture. My runner-up here is Hamnet, also one of the most critically acclaimed films of the year. It seems like Jessie Buckley has Best Actress locked up at this point, and I know it's crazy to be throwing the lock word out there this early. It's only the beginning of October, but I'd, once again, be really surprised if anyone passed her in Best Actress. And outside of her, I mean, it seems like Chloe Zhao is probably going to be runner-up to PTA in both director and screenplay. It's got Paul Mescal in there for supporting. It's got some text, seems like a really, really well-made film. Overall, with Hamnet, I'm just so happy that the early rumors and reports about test screenings not going good were completely false. You know, I took the bait with those, dropping this film from my predictions in my last video. So I'm just really happy that this turned out to actually be such a great film, and I am so looking forward to seeing it. Sinners, I still think is top 3. It is solidly in there. When voting comes around, this film is still going to be in the conversation as one of the most broadly loved films of the year by so many people. This is just solidly in there. It's going to get a boatload of tech nominations. It should compete to win in original screenplay. Where I'm a little bit concerned is some of the tighter areas that are a little bit more crowded, have a lot more options. Like, I think this realistically could get snubbed in acting categories and director too, especially that one, because Coogler kind of feels like he could be the Greta Gerwig Barbie or Denis Villeneuve Dune this year, where it's just like they say no to the big populist genre film in director, which would suck, but I can see it happening. But that being said, there's no world in which this misses Best Picture, and there's no world where this isn't like top 5 for it either. Marty Supreme. Now, I did record this video like half a week ago, and then started getting those rumors that Marty Supreme might be the New York secret screening, so I held off on posting that video, and I'm glad I did, because my thoughts would have been outdated already. Marty Supreme, last night, glowing reactions on Twitter and every other platform, and I'm not surprised. Well, I'm not surprised because, of course, the early reactions are going to be glowing. I'm not going to bite on those and say that this is like going to challenge one battle after another for the Best Picture win. This is now top 2. I'm not even going to put in my top 3 yet because we know early reactions are overly hyperbolic. I feel like when the reviews come out, this is going to be more of an 85-ish on Metacritic instead of like a 92, 93 like those reactions would lead you to think it is. But either way, this is still going to be one of the biggest contenders for this Oscar season. It's got a lot of nomination potential, director, screenplay, multiple actors could get in, a lot of text there. And I do think the biggest point here is, while I don't think it's going to take any of the top prizes from one battle after another, I do think Chalamet could win Best Actor over Leo. So because of that, I have this in my top 4. Sentimental value, I'm still feeling good about this one. I have been wondering whether maybe it was just an accident, could end up sneaking up and becoming Neon's number 1 priority. But for right now, Sentimental Value just has so many above the line nomination prospects. Like, you got actress, supporting actors going to be win competitive, original screenplays going to be win competitive, and then you got possibly 2 supporting actress nominations, possible director nomination. So it's like, you have so many potential nominees in so many key categories that I just feel like this movie kind of has to make it in and is probably going to continue to be Neon's number 1 priority, so I have this one solidly in there. Number 6 is Wicked for Good. This is the last one here that I feel truly solid on, feel really good about getting the nomination, and that's because the reception in comparison to the first film would have to tank for this thing to miss, and I just don't see that happening. The first film had so much passion around it, it overperformed like hell on nomination morning, so I just don't really see why this film would so drastically drop off in comparison to that. I think this film is solidly in here in Best Picture, as well as many more categories. Next up, It Was Just an Accident. This is the first one where I'm a little shakier on, but I still feel pretty good about it. And the reason why I do feel good is because while this probably will be Neon's second priority, they're still not going to abandon their Palm winner. It's just not going to happen. They got Panahi coming to America for awards season to campaign for this thing for the Oscars. I feel like there's going to be a lot of passion around him. It seems like a big audience hit. The ending, I've heard, is just an absolute knockout, one of the best endings of the year. So this film feels like it's going to have that passion to put it into Best Picture. Now, as we get into these last 3, I'm just thinking about what is Netflix's priority number 1 gonna be? At the current moment, I'm leaning towards Frankenstein. Now, Frankenstein did not have the most overly passionate critic reviews when it first premiered, and that was leading me to think that, it's Frankenstein, we've seen Frankenstein before, maybe this just isn't gonna have the passion to get in. But Guillermo del Toro, as we know, does have that industry passion, and if you look at Netflix's big contenders, this is obviously the one that's going to get the most broad interest audience-wise for on their platform, and I think they're probably just going to end up pushing this one. Also, it has multiple tech categories that it can get nominated in, could get nominated up to 5 tech categories, could win like 3. It has production design, costumes, and makeup, all potential wins, and you figure a film that's winning multiple techs probably isn't missing Best Picture. So at the current moment, I'm thinking Frankenstein's going to be their number 1 priority. House of Dynamite has the best critic reviews of these 3, but it feels like the reception has been getting more and more muted since Venice. It feels like audiences are having a tougher time connecting with this one, feeling like there's diminishing returns as the acts go on, and I've heard the common opinion is that the ending just isn't satisfying, which is not the way you want to be leaving the theater of your politically relevant film, So I feel like this film, even though it has the best reviews, there's just not going to be a large audience that attaches itself to this film, so Netflix probably will look to go in a different direction. Jay Kelly, I think, could potentially get a lot of industry passion. It is about an actor who's having these regrets about his life and going through profound thoughts about his career in movies and yada yada. It feels like a subject matter that the industry would really love, but the reception for this one just hasn't been there. Easily the worst reviewed film out of Netflix's 3 big ones, 60s on Metacritic, 70s on Rotten Tomatoes, and even though that I've been hearing a lot about how the reception at Telluride and New York has been so much better than it was at Venice, those scores continue to go down. The letterbox curve continues to stay bad. It would just be a shock to me if no one attached themselves to this film and then all of a sudden the industry just revives the shit out of it. Like, at least Emilia Perez had the Cannes Awards and the second place runner-up at the Toronto Film Festival. So there were still sects of people that liked it before the industry and had passion around it. This film doesn't even have that claim to its name. So even though that Jay Kelly, if it was big, could get into probably the most categories, because it could get actor, supporting actor, screenplay, maybe cinematography and score, but I just don't feel like that industry revival is actually going to happen with this film. It very well could. There's a reason why I'm very close to putting it in. I'm just going to hold off for now, and we'll just have to wait and see with Jay Kelly. Now, some other options other than Netflix's films, you have Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere. This film, I feel like, just could be the Oscar bait biopic that gets in like they do many other years. I don't feel like this is Rocket Man to A Complete Unknown's Bohemian Rhapsody. Like, it doesn't feel like that to me. I think the actors are going to show up. Where I'm a bit more concerned with this film is the fact that it's coming out in a few weeks, and I've heard a really little amount of chatter around this thing. Like, the buzz just doesn't seem to be there for this one at the current moment. So I could realistically see it coming out, not making a big enough splash, and then fading by the time awards voting is happening. That realistically can happen. So I could see this missing, but at the moment, I'm just going to say this has a little bit of an edge over Netflix's two other films and put this in because of the Beatty biopic factor. On the other hand, 20th Century also has Avatar: Fire and Ash, and I've said this before, I do not think every Avatar film is going to get a Best Picture nomination. The first one was just such a technical marvel at the time, they were always going to go for it. And then The Way of Water, it was the first Avatar film in 15 years. It reinvigorated the passion. People loved being back in Pandora. Is this film 3 years after that going to have the same impact? I wonder if it is. Does it do enough to differentiate itself from those two previous films? I don't know. But at the same time, you can't deny that people broadly love being in the world of Avatar. They love being immersed in James Cameron's spectacle. And also, this film is coming out at the end of December. It's going to be raking in $2 billion when nominations are being voted on. So because there are so many films here fighting for this last spot that I feel like are so up in the air, will the audience respond to House of Dynamite? Will the industry latch on to Jay Kelly? Will Neon be able to push a third film in? Because there are so many things up in the air, because Avatar is just going to be guaranteed to get those $2 billion, I feel like I'm just going to settle with Avatar here and just trust in James Cameron. So Avatar is going to be my 10th spot here for Best Picture. Like I said though, House of Dynamite and Jay Kelly, I could very well see making it in. Another one that I could see making it in is No Other Choice. I think this film, if distributed by another studio other than like Netflix or Warner, because those two slates are just jam-packed. I think if this film was distributed by any other studio than those two and Neon, this would be solidly in there. But the fact that this is Neon's third priority, I just struggle to believe that this is going to get in. It seems like I am going to love it. I love Park Chan-wook, but they have been notorious for not giving his films the recognition they deserve, and I feel like with this being Neon's third priority, it's probably just going to end up missing, but it does seem like there is a lot of passion for it, so maybe it can get pushed into director and screenplay and picture as well. I would love to see it happen. This is probably my most anticipated for the rest of the year. I'm looking forward to this film, but I just struggle to see Neon getting 3 films in there, so I'm gonna have No Other Choice just a little bit outside. Begonia, this film seems like it has potential in some key categories, which is making me keep it in the mix at least. Like, this could get an actress nomination, this could get an actor nomination, this could get a screenplay nomination. I don't think it's going to get all three. It would be really weird to get all three of those nominations and then miss Best Picture. The reason why I have it out is because it just doesn't feel like this one has as much passion around it as Yorgos Lanthimos' previous two big awards movies in Poor Things and The Favorite. The reviews are good, but not great, and as such, it seems like it's going to be probably a little bit more polarizing for audiences, so I feel like this film is probably just going to miss, but it's hanging around there in some key categories, so maybe there's a chance. Ann Lee, I am so happy that Searchlight picked this film up. I was getting real worried that this film would not come out this year, so I'm really glad that it is. And even though that it feels like this is probably going to be Searchlight's main priority, I still don't really think it's going to get in Best Picture. The reviews are not as overwhelmingly, insanely incredible as The Brutalist last year, and knowing Fast Forward and Courbet's style, they like to make films that they want to make. They're not going to capitulate to anyone in their vision, and as such, I understand why some of their films can come off as a little bit cold to audiences. It feels like this one is a little bit more polarizing than The Brutalist, so I think this film is probably just gonna be Amanda Seyfried or bust, but hey, I would love to see it happen. I'm very much looking forward to this one as well. So we'll just have to see if that Searchlight campaigning power can push it through or not. Train Dreams, I don't think this is going to happen. It feels too small to get into Best Picture at the current moment, but I'm keeping it in the mix just in case multiple of Netflix's other big contenders just fall off and just aren't getting in there for awards, and they feel like maybe this is more of a sure thing because this film's reviews are great. It seems like there are multiple categories that this could realistically fit in if campaigned properly, but like I said, I just feel like it's going to be too small, but I'm keeping it in there just in case. Is This Thing On? This is the new Bradley Cooper film starring Will Arnett. I would have said that this was Searchlight's priority before they picked up Ann Lee, and now I feel like it's their second priority, but, you know, maybe it being directed by Bradley Cooper, maybe it's able to get some passion around it, but it really just feels like this is a film that Bradley Cooper just wants to make because he wanted to make it, and not because he wants an Oscar. This doesn't feel Oscar bait at all. This feels like it's just going to be a real fun film to see, and I could see myself liking it quite a lot, but I just don't think this is looking like a massive awards thing. Song Sung Blue, I don't really know much about this film personally. I know that Kate Hudson and Hugh Jackman are playing singers who are in this Neil Diamond tribute band and they fall in love, but that's about the extent to my knowledge about this movie. I know that there have been rumors that Focus is going to push Kate Hudson and Hugh Jackman for lead actress and lead actor nominations, so, you know, I've seen some pundits throwing this in their top 10. I think that's a bit of a reach. I think some people are just doing that because they can say, hey, look, if it happens, hey, look, I did it first. I was there early. You know, I feel like that's kind of the reason for some people throwing this in their 10. I'm not going to do that. I feel like Focus, you know, it has Hamnet there, and their second priority is Begonia. I really don't think Song Sung Blue's going anywhere other than maybe a couple Golden Globe nominations for Kate Hudson and Hugh Jackman. I think that's about the extent of it, but I'll keep it in the top 20 just in case. The Secret Agent, this film, once again, like no other choice, I would feel a little bit better about if it was not being distributed by Neon. This film, at its very best, is Neon's fourth priority here. On its best day, it could get international and best actor for Wagner Moura. And honestly, I'm looking forward to this one. It would be cool to see Wagner Moura get a best actor nomination. So I'm all for it, but I don't think Brazil's going to have the repeat best picture nominee luck this year. But hey, it'd be cool to see. And 20, The Smashing Machine. This film, I'm just dropping from awards consideration for everything but makeup at this point because this thing made under $6 million at the box office this weekend. Reception has been very meh on it. It really feels like There's no way A24 even tries to push this for very many awards. Marty Supreme is their big dog for this race, and they're going to put all their money into campaigning that one and not much into this film. And that would be it for my best picture predictions, everybody. Let me know what you think of my predictions. What would you put in your top 10 that differs from me? What do you think Netflix's priority is going to be? I'm really curious to hear your opinions on that one, because that is still the place I am most up in the air about. Let me know your thoughts down below, and if you like these predictions and you would like to see more, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.